keep your topic specific to that agenda item. So with that being said, we have 5 speakers in public comments relative to agenda items. The first is Mary Metters.
My comments first this evening are on the agenda item regarding the personnel consent calendar. And when you went through the matrix of reimagining, you gave extracurriculars a 5, and transportation was not given a number. You cut transportation, and you now have students who are having to travel busy streets to walk to school. Yet, you're giving supplemental contracts tonight for the climbing club and the fishing club advisors. Yet, you say the levies for the kids. Perhaps someone could stock a pond on Tussock Road, and instead of the kids walking to school, they could stop and fish, and then you could give them transportation. The other comment is in regards to agenda items 1302, 1303. Per emails from district personnel, I have to wait because you're so busy to find out exactly how much taxpayers' dollars were spent for Bricker and Eckler during the WEA negotiations. Yet, the board is being asked to spend more money of the citizens to have Bricker and Eckler work to remove this issue from the ballot. You are asking OSBA Legal Advisory Council for funds for this purpose. That during the January 9th BOE meeting, you approved $250 of taxpayer money to pay to belong to the OSBA Legal Advisory Council. So what you are doing is using taxpayers' money to remove the citizens' right to vote. On agenda item 1301, you're going to approve an amendment to the win-win agreement. And this is due to a need to compensate for an overpayment. And I guess I would have to ask why you're supposed to have a superintendent that is supposed to oversee all matters of the district. This district made a massive overpayment, but you have allowed the contract to go forward and have given the superintendent a 1.6% increase in salary, another 5% for a total of 10% of his salary for his annuity, plus you're paying the Medicare, the retirement pickup. In addition to these amounts, I guess while it's like rewarding poor performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Our next speaker this evening is Doug Rankin.
Greetings. My topic is on the agenda called Pledge to the Flag. I came here about 6 months ago and talked about the national anthem and the pledge to the flag. I haven't heard any word back on that. I've talked to several of your high school students and middle school students, and need to restore the national anthem in the morning in homeroom, and also the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. There's a lot of guys and ladies that have been killed in the last 10 years. That any student or parent or adult cannot pledge allegiance to this country, to the flag, when they don't belong here. I lost too many friends, all the way from Vietnam to places you haven't heard of, because we don't announce it like it was announced over with Bin Laden, because we don't want to be known. That puts our families in jeopardy, and it puts a lot of other people in jeopardy in the community when they announce where they're from. I'd like some feedback on this. I don't want any excuses. You know, people got a problem with it. They don't belong in this country. I ran the 880 in high school, and I lost the guy who graduated ahead of me from the Citadel. 6 months after he graduated, he never had a sweetheart right here by some gook. And I can go on, okay? I can go on in the jungles of South America. I spent 10 years in and out of Southwest Asia. And so do a lot of other people. I'm fortunate. I see the sunrise, I see the sunset, and I got all my bodyguards. what I noticed from when the pledge was going on tonight, there were some individuals, and they left. They didn't pledge the flag. They were taught in the national anthem, the pledge. That's all I have. You need to have feedback, not on the website. It needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. And whatever the consequences, there are young men from this high school that have died. The 3 high schools in Ohio. And you've got refugees in this central Ohio that are sending money back to Somalia, $100 million last year. Jalalabad bought explosives, and I know the probability of some individual, some son, or some adult, some father was killed and had their legs blown off. Appreciate the time. We need the national anthem, sir, and the pledge. And every homeroom, every morning, that's the least we can do to the sacrifices of those who did return, who did return that are in different hospitals that'll never be the same.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Our next speaker this evening is Kelly Kohls.
I truly hate to follow that because that was inspiring. I'm Kelly Kohls, and I'm here tonight as a taxpayer, president of a school board, parent of 5 children in public schools, and a former educator. I understand that this district passed a levy in March of approximately 11% of your annual operating budget, and there are grave concerns that a repeal of this amount will significantly and negatively impact the quality of education here in Westerville. Let me give you some history about Springboro Schools, whose board I currently preside over. Since 2008, Springboro Schools tried to pass a levy that was also a little over 11% of our operating budget. Our community said no 5 times. During this repeated levy campaigns, our community was told that if the money was not given to our district, we would see property values decline. Children would be put in larger and larger classrooms. The quality of education we offered would plummet downward. We would go off a financial cliff. Springboro would turn into a ghost town, and we would be the laughing stock of the state. All in all, our children would suffer, our community would suffer, and we would be embarrassed. But here are the facts. We did not pass that levy for 11% of our operating funds. We went from a projected deficit of $30 million to now a projected surplus of $10 million. And we gave back all of the things that we took from the children during those levy campaigns. We brought back busing. We brought back textbooks. We brought back field trips, special ed, gifted services. We decreased pay-to-play fees by 50%. We lowered student fees. We brought back materials and supplies. We're still giving modest raises, and we're still giving an 85-15 healthcare cost split. We have become leaner through less administration, less classified staff, but no less teachers. And in fact, we've decreased the average class size without more money. We were told that the state would come in and run our system at state minimum standards, and that we did not want that. In running, the ODE provided simulation, which is not any longer provided, but in running that simulation, our district at state minimum, I put in all the numbers, and found that we could run our district at state minimum standards with 25% less money than we currently had, let alone the $6 million per year that we were asking our taxpayers to fund. And in that case, we should be giving our taxpayers a tax refund if we ever said we were going to go to state minimum standards, because it costs far less than what the actual income is. While our community would celebrate a tax holiday, it's likely going to be a cold day on the sun before we saw a refund of our property taxes, so that threat should not be used. But you might ask, what about the quality of your education? As it turns out, we have maintained excellent with distinction. Our average ATC scores have gone up for the last several years. We're now, as of last year, declared a Blue Ribbon School. Blue Ribbon Schools program is a national recognized program honoring elementary and secondary schools in the United States that make significant progress in closing the achievement gap or whose students achieve at the highest level in their state. Through this program, the U.S. Department of Education recognizes and presents as models these elementary and secondary schools. 2011, only 7 schools in the state got this Blue Ribbon Award, and we were one of them. I'm a former educator, a current taxpayer, current community member, and the parent of 5 children in school system, Springboro school system, and who have graduated from Springboro. I had no doubt that we could make financial decisions that would not hurt the quality of education while not raising the taxes for our struggling community members. In total, we have gone without this emergency money for what appears to will be 9 years, longer than we were ever told we would survive without it. Springboro community discovered that we didn't need more money, we simply needed to spend differently. Our community agreed that the philosophy shift was enough to elect 2 more board members with this philosophy this last fall. In the last 2 years, we have seen that passing a levy was not a viable tool for ensuring quality, but the accountability was. Currently, Westerville has almost $3,000 per pupil to spend more than Springboro. This is 35% more money per pupil than we have to educate with. I understand that this repeal would decrease this to 25% more than we educate our students with, but it doesn't take more money, it takes accountability. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr.
Thank you, members of the school board. I appreciate the opportunity. This evening I'll be talking about several agenda items, and I'm sure you can figure out which ones as I go through each list. I sent to the board, one of the members of the board, a list of 4 questions. I'll just ask those publicly. I'll go into some other comments. First one is, and this is kind of related to the repeal effort that's going to be taking place here shortly. But if a student or an employee wears a shirt in school that says, "I love Romney" or "I love Obama," I'm assuming that's permissible based on the fact that the I Love Westerville schools shirts were allowed. But I'd like to know that officially. As a school board taking a stance on Senate Bill 284 that would limit special elections and when school levies can be put up. And I'd also like to understand if the School Board Association is taking a stance on that as well. Number 3, do we know when the final version of the teacher's contract will be available to be read? The detailed version, not the overview. Be interested in that. Number 4, can we confirm that the IB program this year is completely self-supporting as promised? Be very interested to understand that as well. In addition to those questions, I wanted to respond to Chris Aaron's letter in reference to the repeal and the folks that are doing that repeal. Chris and I know each other, and I know Denise, the 3 of us also served on the fact committee together. And I'm sure in his letter, when he said that taxpayers for Westerville schools, the group, had no plan to cover the levy repeal dollars, he thought he had talked to one of the true leaders of the group, but he has not. We have promised many, many plans. We've delivered and proposed many, many plans to cover whatever deficit levy repeal would create if passed. We will continue to offer suggestions on how to take care of any deficit from any levy that is repealed that might pass, particularly this fall, as well as other ideas that we also have to save the district money. There's a lot of ideas. I also want to mention that as this campaign does gear up, we hope that the sign stealing is over, the sign burning is over, and we look forward to a fair campaign from both sides. Keeping politics out of the schools and playing fair should be what both sides would strive to achieve. However, and we've been through this before, so I guess we're prepared a little bit more now, if signs are stolen, burned, or damaged, like mine was twice, we will continue to search for the responsible parties, as will the police, and if they are caught, they will be prosecuted, and that's a promise from all police departments on this repeal effort. I really don't appreciate people coming onto my property and trying to intimidate my son with autism, myself, my wife, and my other son at all. And I would hope that the other side, as well as this board, would come out strongly, verbally, and say, we don't appreciate those kinds of things happening, they will not be tolerated, and we hope everybody does come out strongly to that degree, and I hope it is a fair campaign. It's going to be another tough battle. Unfortunately, it has to happen, but it's the right thing to do, because now is the time to do the right thing, which is repeal our taxes and get them where they need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. Last speaker this evening is the first section of the agenda.
The thing I just handed out is in regards to section 1302. It was also forwarded to all of your emails at about 5:50 this evening. Just wanted to give this to you for consideration before voting on 1302. Revised Code 903 says that no governing body of a political subdivision shall use public funds to do any of the following. Section 1, he says, supports or oppose the passage of a levy or bond issue. I would also like to direct your attention to the second paragraph of the second page, and would ask that you review this before making any decisions on that agenda item tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Okay, we now turn our attention to item 8, financial.